Hey gang, my name is Chris. I'm here to talk about Week 12 fantasy football ranks. Before we get started, there's one simple thing you can do to help out our channel. You might not think it means much, but it actually does. Please subscribe. Just take a moment right now, click the little bell. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps us manipulate the YouTube search engine. It's weird, but it sure would help. Okay, as per usual, on a Wednesday, my initial Week 12 ranks will scroll throughout the show. You can find updated ranks all week at HeyHarrisFootball.com. We like to use this show as an opportunity to illustrate some film on some players who you might not otherwise have seen. I'm guessing not that many of you sat through Jets at Washington, so I thought it would be fun to look at Derrius Guice. First, here's what the work share looked like in the Week 11 blowout loss to the Jets, in which Washington looked truly terrible. To be honest, even this makes it look like Guice was more involved than he was. He didn't play at all in the first quarter. He played 9 snaps before the score was 34-3. Smallwood is the Chris Thompson replacement. He was in there because they had to pass. He didn't get a lot of targets. Adrian Peterson really was the concern. He started, played the whole first quarter, and will be a concern going forward. But before we worry about usage, let's just talk about what we saw with our own eyeballs. This was Guice's very first carry, 9-yard gain on a pitch out. And if we watch the end zone view, I think we immediately see the stop foot, go foot. Now, we'll slow it down so you can watch him put his left foot in the ground. And he does kind of 2-foot it to get going and cut to the right. So it's not one of those McCaffrey cuts of doom. But it's pretty good for a 225-pound player, and certainly good enough to make number 46 there, Neville Hewitt, completely whiff. Next play will be a power draw, and I want you to watch number 58 for the Jets. That's James Burgess. And as we begin the play, you'll see Burgess run blitz, and the left tackle can't get to him. And he's basically untouched into the backfield. For some running backs, 3-yard loss. But Guice accelerates around him, gets through his line, and then bounces right. Actually, almost finds some space to keep going. It's good vision there, too. There were plus plays on this film. Here's a screen to get Guice in the open field. Good block from the wideout, and there's Burgess again, one-on-one for the tackle. And it's a good sign that Guice has this much life in his legs. Cut hard to the left, break a tackle, bring your 225 pounds to the party. And you want to watch him run over somebody? This kid has the potential to be real fun. He's going to find a pretty nice-sized hole in this run, and when Hewitt meets him in that hole, yeah, Guice will have power in his NFL career if he stays healthy. I got to say, pretty much all these runs, there's not a lot of room, but he's always doing something that makes me interested. This is just 2 yards, but he's met by number 94 there, who's getting held, and he takes evasive action to not lose yards, cuts around number 93. There's no room to run. He makes 2 yards out of nothing. The more I watch this, the more I'm starting to be into Derrius Guice. And then came the splash play, the touchdown on a screen. This one, I'd say good speed, especially for 225 pounds. But I don't think we expect, even in a best case, we're talking about a pure breakaway runner. We're talking about a kid who's big and powerful with enough speed to take one to the house if everything breaks right for him. It's a nice little cut there at the end to score. I like what I see. But of course, if we're constructing a Week 12 fantasy football lineup, listen, that first full screen we showed you when we started the show, it's what's most important. Until we see Washington turn things over mostly to Derrius Guice, it's hard to be that enthused to start him. I don't know that we're ever going to get a full workload the rest of this season given Guice's injury history. So I have him number 36 standard among running backs this week, with Peterson number 27 against the Lions. Pretty good matchup. I would love to be wrong. I would love to see the balance of workload tilt Guice's way. He is not your standard big guy plotter. It's gift-giving time, but what about a gift to yourself? The gift of an Audible membership. For a limited time, Audible is offering more than half off your first 3 months. As a member, every month you can choose 1 audiobook and 2 exclusive Audible originals you can't hear anywhere else. And when you start your new Audible account, they'll give you 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals for free. And you know what? I have novels that I've written and read on Audible. Just search me on there. If you make one of my books your free audiobook, then send me a screencap, you'll be a person of the book. You'll be in our Sunday morning live stream every single week. Ask me lineup questions for free. Visit audible.com/HarrisTube or text HarrisTube to 500-500. 3 months of Audible, just $6.95 a month, and get one of my books and become a person of the book. Audible.com/HarrisTube or text HarrisTube to 500-500. Okay, we're back, and I think we need to talk about Steelers receivers not named Juju Smith-Schuster and Deante Johnson, because they both got concussed Thursday night, and it doesn't look like either of them will play against the Bengals on Sunday. What we're showing you here is the Steelers' receiving workload after those first 2 guys were out of the game. So this is all the plays once both guys were out. Suffice it to say, it was not an impressive performance from Mason Rudolph. I should also add, Deante, formerly of the Colts, was just added to the Steelers roster as well. The one who has my attention in the ranks this week is James Washington. Now, I am not the biggest James Washington fan in the world. This is about the perception of opportunity. This throw against the Browns was a cross that he dropped on Thursday night, not exactly the hands king of the world. But I would also be oversimplifying to say Washington doesn't have upside. I do not always find him the most convincing off the line, but here we have him narrow split right with Denzel Ward, clearly in man-to-man, and at the snap, you can see good footwork to put Ward just off balance enough to get off without a bump, inside release for what will be an inside breaking route, and a good throw from Rudolph. More of this, and we're on to something. This one, he's split wide left and has Greedy Williams on him, and it's a pretty good route. He makes it look like a deep post. He creates separation as he goes to the out. I don't think it's great footwork by him. It's also not great defending. It's certainly good enough to get him open and get separation. Here's what I mean when I talk about Washington not always being convincing off the line. So none of these targets on these plays we're showing are sent his way, and he might not even be the prime receiver. But press coverage can tend to be a problem for him. We showed you that one where he made a nice move off the line against Ward. There are certainly others, but also too many where it feels like the Browns defense could take him out of a play by redirecting him or clogging him up or flat out bumping him. He doesn't look like a number 1 receiver out there, probably because he's not a number 1 receiver. But this is a better one. Here he's at the bottom of the screen, wide, covered by Ward again. And he doesn't really get pressed here, but as he approaches Ward, that's a nice vector adjustment to the outside to avoid contact with the defensive back. And when he's even, he's leaving. You can see he's fast. He gets by Ward. They're both on the dead run, and boom, Washington goes right past Ward to the point where Ward has to interfere with him to prevent a possible touchdown. I do have a sense that Washington is still maybe more athlete than he is polished wide receiver. I can't say that no other wideout fumbles at the end of this long catch, but it wasn't awesome. And yet it would be goofy to say he doesn't have pretty good hand-eye and doesn't sometimes pop with results that are better than, for example, this throw deserved. This throw's way behind him against the Colts, and he reaches back and goes and gets it. This touchdown against the Rams, good, clever to get up high and grab it, also clever to get his feet down. And yet, this one, decisive 4th down play with about a minute to go against the 49ers, ends a comeback attempt. I guess it's thrown too far out in front of him. I'd love to see him lay out and try to keep the game alive. And then every so often, he gives you something like this, streaking down the right sideline, making the big play. I mean, it's impossible, given the opportunity he's going to have this week, to dismiss him entirely. Listen, James Washington has 23 catches on 42 targets. That rate is bottom 10 among all receivers, which I think speaks to both the poor quality of Mason Rudolph as a quarterback and also Washington's own limitations. I don't know for sure that he's the main guy in this game. It could really be any of 4 different players. I'm ranking Washington in my top 50. He's the only Steeler receiver in my top 50 at number 34. I guess what I'm trying to capture is both, well, the opportunity of not having Smith-Schuster or Johnson in the lineup and potentially seeing a lot of targets against the Bengals. So we have to recognize there's upside. But of course, there's also tons of downside because we really don't know if any one player will have all the targets congeal around him. Washington really isn't a star or really even a finished product. The quarterback is neither aggressive nor particularly good. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.